Hello guys and welcome back to the GCOR Show, and today we'll be speaking about Hurricane and whether anyone can stop the American driver. So far this season, Hurricane's been almost perfect. He's been so good, he's driven so well. There's been 3 race starts, obviously 2 race weekends, but 3 race starts, and he's gone on to win 2 of them, and he's managed to win both like main races. Obviously Japan started from P2, I think it was, went on to win that day. At Australia, started on pole position, went and won. In the Australian Grand Prix sprint race, started P3 after the Ferrari front row lockout. We'll get on to Ferrari in a little minute. And just about missed out on the race win to Midget Matt, but apart from that, he's been pretty much perfect all season round. But can anyone stop him? Right now Hurricane's in a brilliant situation where obviously he's a championship leader, so that already will boost your confidence by so much. He's already got a 35-point lead over the driver in second place, who's Midget Matt. 35 points after 2 races, unheard of, honestly. If anyone else were to win the championship, or let's say Matt, if Matt were to go and win the championship, this would be the second biggest gap difference to have been closed in order to win. The first, the highest points difference to be closed in a championship fight was actually between myself and Beast Mode back in Gen 2 Season 1. I think it was 42 points or something. But an advantage Matt has in this situation is that the points are different. Instead of getting 10 points for a win, it's 25. So definitely it's doable. If Matt turns up to one race and wins, Hurricane gets a DNF. Boom, championship's back on. So it's definitely not too far. It's not something crazy, but it's tough. 35 points already with 2 races. I think this might actually be the biggest championship lead after 2 races in the history of GCOR. So definitely Hurricane is a man. He's a man in form as well. He's surrounded by a brilliant. He has a brilliant environment. Surrounded by brilliant mechanics. Tyler, his team principal's done a brilliant job in keeping him in shape, keeping him alert and awake, and obviously his teammate Charlie Dorr as well. He's also done a brilliant job. You've got to give a shout out to him. So yeah, honestly, right now as we speak, Hurricane's in a dream situation to be in. Can anyone stop Hurricane? I'm not quite sure. As we stand, Hurricane, in the all-time race wins list, he's third with 11 wins, joint third with Catwood. In terms of pole positions, he's joint second, I think. No, he's second on his own, I think. No, joint second, once again with Catwood. Podiums, second most podiums, 43 podiums. Second most race starts with 80, or is it 81? Second most points in GCOR history. And as I said, he's championship leader as we stand. He's gunning for his second world title. Going to be only the second man in GCOR history to win multiple championships. So definitely Hurricane's in a brilliant situation right now. And I'm going to get onto the drivers who can stop him, potentially. And let's start off with the man in second place, Midget Matt. Obviously Matt missed the first race. He was unable to do the first race. But the second race, Matt was a beast. This was the Matt that we've seen at the rear end of Gen 3 Season 4. It's the same Matt that we saw in that Gen 3 Season 1 championship too. So definitely Matt, if he can continue with this brilliant pace, I think he's going to be a threat to Hurricane. And again, as I said, 1 DNF for Hurricane and a win for Matt. Championship's back on. I think though, for that to happen, obviously Matt needs to be top of his game. We saw Matt and Hurricane have a few squabbles. They actually made contact late in the race at Australia. But I don't know. Surf Apps a lot. He's been saying that Matt needs to be a little bit more aggressive, and do I agree with him? yeah, I do agree with them in that regards. But also, and I've been in Matt's situation. You don't want to throw away so many points because you're gunning for that race win, and I'm sure Matt still gets some flashbacks after what happened last season at Monza too. So I can see both sides of the coin. I think he'll also need Sikofa to help him. I think Ferrari right now, they're in a nice situation, but an uncomfortable one, where they've got two rapid drivers in Matt and Sikofa. If they were to prioritize one of them, the other driver would be not only unhappy, but it would create an uncomfortable situation, an uncomfortable environment. But I think they do need to prioritize one of the cars if they want to go and fight Hurricane toe to toe. If they don't let the cars, if they don't pick a number 1 and number 2 driver, then I think we'll get into the same situation we were in at Australia when Matt was on a different strategy to Sikofa. Sikofa battled with Matt. Matt lost time, and I'm not saying that would have won Matt the race, but who knows? Who knows? Matt was on fresher tires and couldn't get past his teammate. So I think that's a Ferrari thing. And also Matt just needs to stay on top of his game all season round. We've seen this before, even at the start of last year. I remember Matt managed to get a couple podiums at the start of the season. Then his season just fell off, and then reappeared back at Spain and Brazil. So yeah, definitely. Next driver, Sikofa. Could he stop Hurricane? Obviously, these two have known each other for a long time. Sikofa's been racing in GCOR for a long time, but he's back. He's back now. And again, he showed brilliant pace. Honestly, I've got more faith in Matt. Obviously, because Sikofa, the last 2-3 seasons, his reputation's not been the best with incidents and leaving early before his contract's run out. So it's been a little bit messy in that regard. I'm not saying Sikofa's a bad driver. I mean, the drive that he had on Saturday, gave him drive of the day. So definitely he's got a chance, and he's only 36 points behind Hurricane and 1 point behind his teammate in third in the standings. So definitely he's got a chance, but again, I think it's just with Sikofa, it's mostly about consistency. I think if he can be consistent, I think the speed will come naturally. That's always been Sikofa. We've seen this back in his prime, back at Red Bull when he was with Dino Bambino. How could we forget? So yeah, that's what I've got to say about him. Same, and in terms of the team, again, Ferrari needs to pick a number 1 and number 2 driver. I know it sounds harsh and it's definitely very early, but hey, I'm a pundit. I can say whatever I want. It doesn't affect me. And then on to the final driver, who I think could stop Hurricane, is actually Coward. Again, we look at the record books. Joint most, third joint most wins with Hurricane, in the history of GCOR. Second all-time joint most pole positions with, guess who? Hurricane, once again. And again, for the other statistics, I'm looking at top 5, most podiums, I think he's in top 5 of that. Race starts, once again, most points. And you see, with Coward, it's a bit different, because that GN7 Mercedes was looking like a little bit of a diva. It wasn't looking like the most stable of cars in race 1. Obviously, he missed race 2, which was big, because obviously it was a sprint weekend too. But I think if GN7 can build the team around Coward, Skip Pratt's also done a very good job this season. So if Skip Pratt can also help him in that championship fight, then who knows? We could have a 2, 3, 4 car championship fight. Who knows, man. But I think it's up to GN7 and up to Coward. I think GN7, they're definitely going to help Coward as much as they can in order for him to excel. And yeah, I guess it'll be up to him. So that was the video today. Can anyone stop Hurricane? It's looking tough, and I'm scared Hurricane dominance may bore fans, but nah, it's all good. You've got to respect greatness when you see it. Hurricane, for the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 seasons, you could say he's been the top 2 fastest drivers on the grid. So yeah, definitely kudos to him, and thanks for being here for this GCOR show. See you in the next one.